Hey, how's it going, everybody? We're coming back at you from Coventry, Rhode Island, the land of mismanaged heaven. So, mismanagement is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Anybody that follows the local Coventry news or politics knows that we have major problems, from the DPW trash trucks to Johnson's Pond to the school to our fire department and EMT services, and not even having ambulances available and everything else. And when you go around town and you ask people, what's going on with these problems, right? And let me get the opinion from the public. Almost everybody will answer, "Oh, mismanagement." Right? Oh, the fire department, it was mismanaged. Oh, yeah, yeah. The DPW tried, it was mismanaged. Yeah, the school's debt is mismanaged. Okay, all right, I understand that, right? So why aren't we holding these managers accountable for the mismanagement, and why are we allowing managers that are totally willing to enable these dim-witted employees to remain in office? Right? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So today's story is going to be, again, on DPW. I don't know if you guys remember, about 2 years ago, it was on my Facebook. I didn't make a video about it, but when I first moved here to Coventry, I got into it with DPW. I went down to the transfer station with a load, and I approached a DPW building. Anybody that knows the building knows that there's one door adjacent to the land transfer station and one door adjacent to the town hall building. The door adjacent to the town hall building does have an employees only sign, but it's on the door. And quite frequently in the summertime, they'll leave the door open to get more air, which makes the sign non-visible. I approached that door. When I walked through the door, it seemed like it was a break room. There was a refrigerator, a table, some guys sitting down, and they had instructed me to go down the hall to the office. So I went down the hall to the office, in which I was approached by a short, dark-haired girl, but it was dyed red, and she's flipping out that I used the wrong door in the office. Right? I landed at the town manager's office complaining about the treatment and misconduct, or whatever you'll call this, by her at the town manager's office. And I thought at the time that my complaint was taken seriously, so I let it to rest. Y'all have seen the videos that I've made, with the police station here, my BCI check, and the troubles that took, because that's all mismanaged and backed up for a month. And I, again, went to the town manager. This time I went to the police station. I got reports, complaint reports, filled them out, and I brought them to the town manager myself, which I got all on video, and I have uploaded in one of my previous videos, the one that got like 4.6 thousand views. So when I first moved in here at Coventry, I burned my leaves. And it was okay with the fire department. The second year I tried to burn them, the police department tried to stop me, and they wanted to argue with me about the existence of ordinance or statute 127-2-A, which is our open burn policies, right? But like any other cop, right, when you start spitting some knowledge on them, they don't want to hear that, so they resort to force, right? And, right, you want to have a problem? I told you to put out the fire. Doesn't matter what the law is. I said no. You know what I mean? Crazy talking, right? Everything's mismanaged, right? So this year I decided, even though I was in a body cast once upon a time in my life, and I have a problem with my right hip and everything, I said, I'm going to go out and buy the bags, and I'm going to bag them all up, and it'll be an expense and a chore, right? But okay, I'll do it, since apparently that's going to be our only way to peacefully get rid of the leaves. So as of right now, this is what the leaves look like on my yard. They've been falling over. They've been out there for a month. The town website says that they'd do it every other week. They've been out there for a month, falling over. It's been drought season, so luckily the bags aren't like really messed up from rainwater, but they're all spilt and they're all everywhere. I'm gonna have to go and clean all that up again, and that's a big old pain in the ass for me, right? Or I'm gonna have to pay somebody, right? Which shouldn't really happen, because the schedule for the leaf removal, right, should be the schedule. And I really thought I complied with that schedule, and I even waited again for the schedule to lapse, right, which is now a month later, and I'm complaining about it. So I called the DPW. I had called the fire department to ask them about the burning and to verify the statute and all that, and they told me that they were going to put a work ticket into DPW to get the leaves removed. I waited again. I called DPW today, and I was told, we're shorthanded, hung up the phone, right? And denial of any kind of tickets coming in, right? And we'll get around to it when we get around to it, right? And it's like, no, man, that's not acceptable, right? Call Domino's and order a pizza, right? And instead of getting your pizza in 30 minutes, let them tell you, we'll get around to it when we'll get around to it, right? Like, no, man, I already paid my taxes. I already paid for that pizza, right? Either bring it to me or give me my goddamn money back, right? So we're shorthanded. And she hangs up the phone. Well, yeah, I understand that you're shorthanded. It's all over the news, right? But hey, with all that money that you're not paying employees with, why aren't you guys, fixing your trucks? Oh, we're mismanaged. Okay. So either way, I'll continuously go to the town manager at this point. All right? Ever since that first time having that interaction with her in which she yelled at me for taking the wrong way into the office, I went to the town manager and complained. Every time that I've had an altercation with the police, or DPW or whatever it might be, I take it straight to the town manager now. I'll go right down to the police station, ask them for a complaint report, and instead of submitting it to them, I take it straight to the town manager. Now, the first time that I complained about this young lady at the DPW office, I thought the town manager took me seriously and handled it, and I never brought it back up. But today I learned how completely ignorant I am, right? And any complaint, just like I suspected before, goes right into the special filing cabinet, which is a paper shredder. Right, so here's my video from today over at the DPW office, and me trying to talk to Dan Parrillo about this. Dan Parrillo, just brushes me off, and at that point I get frustrated because if you're not going to take my complaint seriously, that means that her immediate boss is not going to hear the complaint, and that means that she's not going to be reprimanded. That means that the problem is not going to be fixed. It'll continue to be mismanaged, right? It all makes sense. So this is pretty frustrating as a taxpayer. Another day at Coventry Town Hall. Let's go get them. So my shirt fell over the camera. Sorry about that. But we can still hear. I try to be polite, Dan Parrillo, please.
But I got some more of his employees acting a fool on camera. I want to talk to him about that. And last time he didn't follow up with my complaints, so I got to follow up about that too.
Because now it's become blatantly obvious. All right? So I'm going to bring it up to him, and his response just confirms how blatantly obvious he doesn't take the complaints seriously, right? And just brushes them off.
Here, I'm going to shut off for a minute while we wait.
And he ended up being right there.
How you doing?
And what up again, buddy?
How are you?
What up again?
Good for you.
Another day living the dream here in Coventry, man.
Yeah, what's happening?
So I first bought my house here about 3 years ago.
Okay.
I have a whole bunch of trees, and I decided to burn my leaves so that I can turn it into potash, use it in my garden.
Okay.
Coventry Fire Department showed up, and they agreed that we had the open burn law. I was 50 feet away from the house. I had the hose. They allowed me to keep burning. So I was like, cool.
Okay.
The next 2 years, Coventry police would show up, wanting to debate and argue.
The next 2 years? What do you mean the next 2 years?
I've been here for 3 years. So the first year I burned, and I was allowed to, by the Coventry Fire Department.
Okay.
The next year, and last year, the next 2 years of my existence here, I tried to burn. Coventry police would show up and try to dispute with me the existence of Statute 127, Chapter 2, Article A.
Okay.
Right? In which they're trying to tell me that Coventry does not offer open burn laws in which we get the fire department's permission and stuff like this, that we just don't allow it at all. And they would shut me down. Okay. If I try to argue the point, they threaten problems, right? You want to have problems, I told you to put it out. Right? And that's what you get, that thug mentality in which me and you have talked about now numerous times before that I'm getting sick of. We also get the bad advice crap going around, right? So this year, I bagged up all my leaves. I put them out. Yeah. We're supposed to get yard waste removal every 2 weeks.
The bad advice crap that I was referring to was like at the police department and whatnot, and telling me that it was going to take a month, and right, and they give you adverse advice to the objective you're trying to complete through these departments, right? And they pretty much are like, oh, what, you're coming at me trying to get a job done? Tunk, right? And let me forward you to someone else's voicemail. Let you wait until another time, right? And it's always just BS, man.
The first time that I ever met you, do you remember the reason why?
Why I met you?
The first time
I about the police.
Nope, DPW.
So right there, do you remember the first time that I met you? And he says, yeah, the police, right? And that was more recent. And then I reminded him, right? And no, DPW, right? And it was about 2 years ago, right? And when I was complaining about that young lady, about her flipping out about using the wrong door, and he agreed, oh, yep, right?
DPW, okay.
You remember that one?
Okay.
Right?
Anyway, yeah, well, we are behind in yard waste.
Immediately knows we are behind in yard waste, right? So I'm going to be willing to bet that the girl that hung up on me and treated me like a fool is probably in his inbox, right? Again,
Go ahead.
All my neighbors got took.
maybe that's his loving touch at work. You know, see what I'm saying? Some kind of, right? They got some kind of communication, some kind of relationship, right? And yet he's going to protect. You're going to see in a minute. He's going to protect her, even though it's going to make him look like a fool. Why?
Mine have been out for over a month.
I ask why.
All my neighbors got took about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Right, a little over 2 weeks ago. I waited the 2 weeks, got passed by again. I called the Coventry Fire to narrow down and figure out the exact logistics behind the burning statute, in which they agree with me, but right now we are in a drought season, right? That I should be allowed to burn, but right now they're not going to allow it because of the drought season, right? Yep. Very reasonable, right?
Yep.
So I called back DPW, and I'm like, Coventry Fire told me they put in a work ticket for you guys to come and take my leaves, right? Because we're not allowed to burn right now. The lady tells me that we're short-handed
We'll get it done.
and hangs up on me.
What area is on? You're on Arnold Road, right?
And she hangs up on me.
So he already knows, right? You're on Arnold Road, right? Like, he's very familiar with me, right? And he's going to start taking down my address. But see, the problem with this is, and I would have loved to have talked to him about it, you're going to send a truck to my personal address. That means that the guy's going to drive from DPW through Coventry, right? Possibly passing by other residents with leaves, because his primary objective is going to be to go to my house to pick up my leaves because I called and complained, right? As long as that's their solution to the problem, the truck is going to constantly be going from specific address to specific address, and he's not going to have the time he needs to complete his route properly, right? And you're going to get him, for example, driving down Arnold Road and just kind of stretching his neck, looking down the side streets, and if he doesn't see anything, then people get missed. And you see how a lot of people from one street will say, I got hit, and people from the same street will say, I got missed, right? And how can that be, right? And I'm willing to bet that that's how the leaf patrol, or whatever you want to call it, is working, because they are under such a time restraint, because they are forced to go from residence to residence to service these complaint calls.
This is the same lady that I had to complain about the first time around. This lady has now received 2 complaints just off of me, and you're not going to follow up on it, just like you didn't follow up with the freaking police. And I'm fucking goddamn sick of being played like a fool in this goddamn town, and you guys expect me to pay ever-raising taxes.
What number on?
So that's a real feeling, right? Now, one of the things that, and I understand the town manager and, the cops and shit, they probably don't expect it. When they meet me as a person, I don't shave with a razor. It gives me ingrown hairs. So I use a buzzer. So I almost always have a 5 o'clock shadow. I'm missing a tooth out front, a relic from my time being an addict, right? Being less than, what would you call it? Minimally employed, right? Because I am an addict and the state tends to hold a grudge. You can't get a job nowhere but flipping burgers. I have time to do all this, right? As well as when I was incarcerated, I did take CCRI classes for computers and stuff, and I actually paid attention. I didn't just do it for the good time. So they look at me and they think they see a dummy, and they treat me like a dummy, right? But what they don't tend to expect is that I'm recovered, a homeowner. I have a knowledge with computers. I have all the time in the world to chase these matters and pursue them. I have an extreme interest to see them get resolved, right? Anybody that's seen any of my other YouTube videos about recovery knows that I praise the state, right, for holding me accountable, right, and getting me clean. If I can be held accountable, they can be held accountable. You see what I mean? And that's what recovery is all about, right? It's about personal accountability. You see what I mean? I've just learned to make sure, right, to hold these others, public servants, whatnot, accountable as well, as they are accepting paychecks, right, tax money from me, and I'm minimally employed. Right, so a big chunk of my pay goes straight to property taxes, not even to mention income taxes and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It actually kind of stings. It's like 1/8 of my pay just in property tax. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of concerned about where all my money goes.
78. You should know that by now. I've talked to you more than any other citizen in this town.
No.
Numerous times I go there complaining.
People more than you.
Maybe you can count them on one hand.
Now a professional interviewer would call this, being combative, right? And he should just acknowledge the fact, yeah, Brian, you are down here all the time, right? And for some reason, you do seem to slip through the cracks or whatever it might be, right? But he has to, oh, there's other people more than you and shit. Okay. But, right? I'm the only one making videos, so you want to be combative. Well, here it is. I'm going to publish this shit tonight, right? Let's see how many others like me there are.
Yeah, probably.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But I'm sick of it that every time that we need something done that we have already paid for, it's a hassle. You're getting bad advice, you're getting told to sit on it and spin, you're getting people hanging up on you. This is not what I pay taxes for. Answer my questions, set my appointment, it's as easy as that.
That's right, public servant.
Make sure you debris
I want to file it. This is the second time now.
You hear that? That I want her fired. This is the second time now. And he says, okay, now this is what we're going to talk about. I'm going to back it up just a second.
Set my appointment, it's as easy as that.
We'll take care of it. We'll make sure you debris
I want her fired. This is the second time now.
Okay.
I want her fired. This is the second time now. Okay. Now, at this point, I revealed to him, I got you on camera. You just agreed to fire her. Right? And he's going to back out. Oh, no.
You said okay, and you're on camera.
I'm on what?
You said okay, you agreed.
I didn't agree to fire.
I just said I want her fired, and you said okay.
So why'd you say okay if it wasn't to pacify me then? Right? To get me to shut up. Right? Okay, yeah. What up? You see what I mean? This is not the professionalism that I expect from the town manager handling 1/8 of my pay just in property tax. See what I'm saying? This is very unprofessional, very disheartening. And at that, I got very upset because the town or the state won't give me a job, right? Because they hold a grudge about my background, right? They don't want to hear that I have potential to potentially do a better job than this, right? But they say just because this guy used to be a cop or he's got a squeaky clean background, that means that he's automatically qualified, but yet he's not qualified. You see what I mean? He has no customer interaction skills, right? Problem resolving, nothing. De-escalation, nothing. He's sitting there being passive. He's being aloof, right? He don't give a shit. All right, yeah, whatever. I'll send a truck to your house to shut you up. Oh, okay, yeah. You want her fired? Okay, yeah, just to shut you up. Just to shut you up, right? And at that point, I told him just where to go.
That's you.
Right, but absolutely not.
You
Because you're going to protect her just like you protected the cops and fuck me, the citizen, right? I'm just your cash cow. I'm sick of it, Dan. You're a piece of crap.
Okay. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too.
See? Okay, have a good day. Right? Yeah, you're going to protect her, right? And this is the second time. How can one citizen, right, file 2 complaints against one public service person at DPW, right? And nothing gets followed up on, right? And because he just doesn't care. You see what I mean? This is why Coventry is doomed. This is why we're in the shit, right? Everything's mismanaged. That's right, because management don't care, right? We need new management, right? Management that maybe wasn't a previous cop or public servant of some kind, right? Maybe an average Joe speaking for the average Joe, representing the average citizen, right? And not some guy with a bias who's been in the tax system. 100% of this man's career has been paid for by the taxpayer, but yet look how much he respects the taxpayer. I fear for how he treated the African-American community while he was an officer in Johnston, if that's the case, right? Because keep in mind, he's had the job here. He worked as a cop before BLM, before all that, right? And he treats people like fucking garbage. You see what I'm saying? It's sad. It's sick. Right? There he is with a big smile on his face, making 6 figures a year. Right? But yet, our EMTs are getting like $19 an hour. Right? And an EMT, I think we all know, are here guardians of our lives. Right? I've never had an EMT brush me off. Right? They're usually trained as a peer support, right? Which gives them the ability to be able to level with us, to be able to talk with us, even when we're having mental health crisis. Right? With his prior existence and employment as a police officer, he should have been able to identify, right, that things were being escalated, that needs were not being met, therefore there was a crisis of some kind, right? He should have been more of service, right, and not just kind of laugh it off, oh, yeah, whatever, right, and shit like that, right? And at that point, Dan, I will tell you again, fuck you, Dan Parrillo, right? You're a fucking terrible town manager, right? You really need to listen to the voice of the citizens, right? I understand that our town seems to be like town administration versus the taxpayers, and us taxpayers are now the public servant as we are the public and we are the servant handing over all of our money, right? You guys are like royalty. We are the public servant. You're public royalty. We're public servant. I get it. You're an entitled piece of shit, just like every fucking cop joke in the world. With that being said, thank you everybody for coming down, checking out my update. I really hope for change and reform in Coventry. It's just absolutely embarrassing. It's embarrassing. You know, you tell people in Rhode Island that you live here, and they're like, "Oh, I heard." You know what I mean? Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. And fuck you, Dan Parrillo!